Welcome to Leader Talks podcast. I'm Reverend Dr. Shannon Karafanda. I am an ordained clergy person in the United Methodist Church.
Hi, I'm Elaine Beattie, speaker, trainer, executive coach.
We've put together this podcast by women for women about things we wish we had known when we were younger.
And we do hope that you will look for our podcast on your favorite platform.
Be sure to subscribe, to like, and to share. We want to thank you for joining us today.
So Shannon, you ready to get started?
Let's do it.
Welcome, friends. I am Elaine Beattie, leadership coach, trainer, and speaker. And I am here today with my co-host, the Reverend Dr. Shannon Karafanda. Hey, Shannon.
Hey, Elaine. It's so good to be with you again today. What are we talking about today, Elaine?
We are talking about developing and empowering others. And can I tell you, I'm about to jump out of my chair because this is like one of my favorite topics.
And it's, I think, one that's really needed. I would say that the idea of this topic gives me a little anxiety because I know I need to do it, but I'm a little bit of a control freak. And so it's hard to do.
Okay, so let's take a breath and repeat after me. I am a recovering control freak.
I'm a recovering control freak. I am in recovery.
I am too. That's why I can say it.
Yeah, I know a lot of women who are in leadership who'd be listening to a podcast probably are as well.
You know, we just have to tell the truth. So that's one of the things that we're hoping that you all learn from us. You know, part of why we have not part, all of why we've created this show and the topics that we talk about is because we want you to learn from the lessons that we wished we had known when we were in our younger years.
So one of the things when I was in my younger years, I wish the movie Frozen had come out earlier because when I listen to the song Let It Go, I have to own those words. Let it go. Let it go.
Well, let me just say that, first of all, as a manager and a leader, keeping in mind, first of all, that whatever we do, it's never about us, right? It's always about either our customers or the people that we serve, which are our employees and our staff. So we have to, well, let me change that. I want to invite you all to be of the mindset that when we are serving our staff, serving those people around us, the joy is really in seeing how they can be developed, seeing how they can grow around, in our midst. And that is what is just like, I'm telling you, it just makes me want to jump for joy. And I didn't realize this, but I, thank God, had been mentored. And quick story. So in my younger years, and we talked about this, being mentored by men mostly. And then I was mentored by this woman who was a general manager. I was a general manager in a hotel. And it was just so different for me. It was so different. And as she developed me, I started modeling what she was doing. And so I want to first say that when we are thinking about developing others, when we are wanting to empower others, hopefully we have someone who has done that for us, and now we can model that. So the first thing I want to say is model your way into it, right? So, and we talked about this in another segment. Oftentimes, recovering control freaks, we are that because we are seeking perfection. But we're recovering from that too.
We are.
So we are more concerned, and I'd like to say that the shift for me has become more about progress and presence.
Not perfection.
Not perfection.
Yeah, progress, not perfection.
Right. So if we are thinking about being present with people, if we are thinking about really being authentic, and as we just started out in the very beginning of this, right, of the session, saying, okay, this is who I am, right, then people can hear and learn from us because we're not talking from a place of do as I say or, right, our authority, it becomes actually more appealing because it's coming from a place of authenticity. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think there can be great joy, and this is what I did not know, in seeing someone grow and succeed. So, and realizing like you had a part of that. And, it's not about you, it was about them. But like when you saw it, you were like, my goodness, they grew, they did something amazing.
Absolutely. So, what I say to that is your presence is contagious. Your presence makes a difference, right? And if we are focused on being aligned with our values, aligned with the organizations, aligned with others, we will, right, be successful. We'll see others be successful. I used to run a nonprofit, and I hired a young lady, and she had never been in nonprofit work. She used to do a lot of work in the church. She had two young girls, single mom, and her aunt came to me and said, "Elaine, she needs a job." And I was like, "Okay." Seemed nice enough, kind enough. Well, let me tell you something. She came in and she was like the perfect assistant, just the perfect assistant. So we were great. And we've talked about this before too. We were just perfect as far as disc styles. I was big picture. She was detailed, right? She was more moderately paced. I was more fast paced. Well, can I tell you, the more I pulled back, the more she stepped up.
Ooh,
So I want to go to your first point.
yeah.
We have to let go.
Let it go. Let it go.
We have to let go in order for people to grow. Now, I wasn't planning to say that, but that was good.
I like that.
Yeah, we have to let
Let
go.
it let it go in order to let someone grow.
Yes,
Good, good, good.
yes. I remember in my days of Toastmasters, and one of my speeches was let go of the cape and delegate.
Ooh, yes,
Right?
yes.
So I say all that to say that empowering others requires real trust. And let me tell you something, there is nothing that builds a team faster and stronger is letting go and giving them permission to succeed and to fail.
Ooh, giving them permission to fail. Yeah, that's good because you do have to learn from doing, and
Yeah,
you're going to
we
make mistakes.
John Maxwell wrote in his book, we have to fail forward.
Hmm.
We have to fail. We can take the mindset of failing forward, right? Failing forward. And so if we give people their own space, if we give them an opportunity to stretch, they might stumble. We stumbled, right? It's
Right.
never a straight, way to the top. So we learn in those lessons. But here's the thing. You don't empower people by micromanaging.
Yeah, no, you definitely cannot do that. That's going to frustrate both of you.
Exactly.
And I would say you'll probably speak more to this, but you probably need to be strategic in what you delegate at the times that you do. You don't want the big critical make or break for the entire company project to be, hey, you've never done this before. Why don't you spread your wings and see if you can fly? You probably
Yeah.
want to start with something small and then get bigger and bigger and bigger. Not only does that help them, but it also helps you to go some control, let go some control, let go. It gives you a gradual process too.
So here's what I say to that. I don't know if I've mentioned it on this show. So I have created a management training program where I'm developing leaders. One of the modules is delegation.
Mhm.
What I have learned is that most people have never been trained on how to delegate. There are actually 8 steps to delegation. Now, I don't have them in front of me and I can't roll them off the top of my head at the moment, right? Because I got a bunch of stuff going on. But there are steps to delegation. I literally walk my participants through that, tell them to take the dang paper, print it, put it in front of them, right in front of their
Right.
chair, so that they can walk people through it. Right. So it's not just hand somebody something and say, do it. I remember when I was in, gosh, some of my stories. I remember when I was the number 3 in the Washington Hilton Hotel, and they left me for the entire weekend, the general manager and the AGM, right? The assistant
Mhm.
general manager. They left Junior over here, okay, with a house full of multiple disabilities, 700 rooms. I mean, blind people, dogs, paraplegics, like the whole 9 yards, and we had prepared the hotel, whatever. But you know what? We never talked about, and I can't even believe I'm going to say this in public, but it's true. Like, we never talked about how to evacuate in case of a fire.
Oof.
We have to train our people. You're talking about big things, right? Again, they were empowering me. Yeah, they left me to just Robinson, you can handle it. Yeah, but it also requires training. It also requires modeling. So again, I'm glad that you trust me. I was scared to death the whole weekend.
Mm,
The whole weekend. So please let us remember when we are delegating, when we are letting go, let's make sure we prepare people to do that, right? So this
right.
way, not only do you have the confidence, right, and the trust because you've prepared them, they also now feel prepared and able to do that. And they're looking forward to making you, right, proud of what they do. It's almost like, the parent and child.
It's exactly what I was thinking when you were talking earlier. I was like, it's like when I, taught my kids how to tie their shoe. It took them 8 million times and they didn't
Yeah,
get it right. And then finally one day they're boom, boom, boom. It's
exactly.
done. So yeah.
Exactly. So you empower them by believing that they can do it, right? That they can lead too. And that is what we're doing. We're building leaders, we're developing people. So we can say one thing, but when we actually let them do it, it speaks volumes. It speaks volumes. So one, we want to make sure that we model our way, right?
Mhm.
Again, our presence, us being there with them, being authentic, sharing who we are so that they know, like, okay, well, all of a sudden you show up and, I'm the leader. Well, it took a minute and it took some steps to get there, right? Right.
Yeah.
But being there, encouraging them, right? So our presence is contagious. Secondly, we need to make sure that we let go, that we delegate with intention, and we're not just throwing people. One of my other bosses used to say, I just throw people in a pool and see if they can swim. Really? No,
Yeah. Yeah.
we're not suggesting that. That is not how you empower people. Okay. That is not a good example.
Even when you do that, you're standing right there with the life jacket ready to jump in. I mean, so people say just throw them in, see if they swim. That's not the full picture.
No, it's not. It's not. But it was really scary when he said that to me because he would also say something. He would oftentimes say something and then walk away. So yeah, no, it really was his way, right? And then he'd wait for the results. Boy, we've had some really tough lessons. So
Yeah.
anyway. So thirdly, I'd like to say that when we empower people, it's not about power. And I know that that's part of the word.
Mhm.
It's not about power. It's about strength. It's about strength. And there's a difference in that, right? So, we have to really think about what that means. So I really believe that it is about understanding and empathy. Now, people think, how do I empower people and yet be empathetic? Isn't empathy kind of like wimpy? No, it is actually, I think, one of the key powerful skills.
It's a superpower.
It is absolutely a superpower. And I really believe that as women, we actually have that naturally. Now, some of us have to work on it, but if we are really working in our feminine space, it just comes out.
And I think back when I was first starting, the culture around women and leadership were that we were competing with each other. And so we boxed away the empathy instead of leaning into it. And what we found was that competition with each other didn't allow for any of us to move ahead as far as that we could. And when we were able to kind of exercise the empathy part of ourselves, we were able to move even further.
So last month, I was actually teaching on emotional intelligence. Empathy is part of emotional intelligence. Again, the most successful leaders today are this is the word I'm looking for. I'm missing a word. They know the importance of emotional intelligence. It is one of the skills that they utilize daily, right? So when we are emotionally intelligent, we are leaning into our own self development, self discovery, self management, as well as other people's management and knowing where they are. And empathy is a big part of that.
Yeah.
So
I like Travis Bradberry's emotional intelligence book. I didn't realize I thought those qualities were fixed. I didn't realize that you could grow in them, and it was super helpful for me.
yeah, Daniel Gorm. No, what's his name? Not Gorman. Is it Daniel Gorman?
It's Daniel. No, it's Daniel something, and I think it is a Goldberg, Goldstein, Gold
Right.
something.
It's escaping me.
We'll figure it
Right.
out.
Right.
I wish I knew when I were
Developer of
younger
emotional.
I wish
Yeah.
I knew when I was younger how often I would forget names.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, look him up. Daniel. He is the father, if you would, of emotional intelligence. There is this beautiful graph that I utilize when I'm teaching it, and it lays out the 4 areas of emotional intelligence, and then it has the competencies behind it. And it's so important to see it visually to understand what it is. So, hear me please say that part of being able to develop others and empower others is really mastering, that was the word I was looking for, mastering emotional intelligence, right? You can't develop people you're not willing to see fully. Cannot
Yeah.
develop people you're not willing to see fully. Right. And I, in my younger years, what made so many mistakes, because I thought, first of all, I had to wall off who I was. Secondly, I couldn't let them see me sweat. I wasn't going to really show them all of me. And again, we're talking about with some discernment, right? All that
Yeah.
was problematic. And so now, and I think it happens when you get over 40 and certainly when you get over 50, okay, you just don't care anymore.
Yeah. Your filters go away and you're living life, living large.
Yeah, exactly. But it is important to make time to listen, to ask deeper questions, to listen right deeply, and to pay attention to what is not being said. And so we go back to being present, but also understanding that empathy and emotional intelligence are essential to developing other people.
Yeah. Yeah. Very key and important to continuously work on. I wish I had worked on that much, much earlier. I really is a superpower.
It really is. It really is. And so, as one who has not had children, I realized that I was called to really develop and grow other people around me. And so that's how I've used my nurturing, if you would, skill in that wherever I go, I am purposed at finding out, okay, what are their gifts? What are their talents? Are they in the right place? So I loved using my like human resource,
Yeah.
right? Knowledge and experience. And then I couple it with, the divine gift. And I was like, okay, where should they be? And that's key, right? So we've heard, you got to get the right people.
On the right spot on the bus. Yep.
Exactly. And then we can develop them.
So here's a question for you. What if you see someone, you see the gifts, and you think if only they knew this, they would make it to the next level, and they don't want to? Like
Yeah.
maybe they want to make it to the next level, but they don't want to do the work to get to that.
Well, here's the first thing, and you know this as a coach. We can't want for people they want for themselves. That's number one. And I've been there. I have worn myself out trying to encourage people to do something that I know that they will just be so amazing at, right? Like they were born for it, but they can't see it for
They
themselves.
can't see it and they're not ready. They're not ready to
They're
do it.
not ready. When they're ready, that requires us to be patient. A lot of people are talking about this book, Let Them, right?
Yes.
Mel Robbins. And we just have to let them at
Let
that point.
them. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
Inspire them where you can,
yeah,
model for them,
yeah, yeah.
give them encouragement when they do a small step. Oh,
Well,
look at you. That's really, really good. Congratulations.
part of developing people, I think, is really giving them the tools. And one of the tools that we often talk about are assessments. That's
Yeah,
where
you know I love assessments.
I know, and I do too. But assessments help to wake us up.
Yeah.
It's part of the self-discovery process. And as leaders, we really should utilize that as one of the ways to help us, right? We do the assessment, we get the information, we reflect. I say, share it with other people and say, so do you know this to be true?
Do you see this in me? Yeah. And so for all of you Enneagram 8s out there that are saying, I don't really like challenges, assessments, I challenge that they are making assumptions because you're a challenger. I say that as part of being part of that group. Let it go and realize that no, they're not perfect and they're not 100%, but it's a starting point for self-discovery. You may not agree with it. You might think that you're more extroverted than you tested. That's okay. It's a place to start a conversation and to think through, why did I answer it that way at that point in time? And how would I do things differently? That's all it is. It's a starting point.
It's a starting point. It's a starting point. And so again, when you ask the question, how do we work with people who can't see that? My suggestion is an assessment tool. And there's so many. So I think that there's probably some kind of assessment tool, right, that they can use. I love Mel Robbins. I was seeing something on on Instagram. And so she said, okay, this is a really quick test. She says, we can tell what kind of person you are. And she goes, go into your bathroom. Now, is your sink the part that's all nice and clean and everything's like,
Uh-huh.
place, or is it messy? Does it have, the hairbrush and the makeup and, all this other stuff, right?
Right.
So they can be as simple as that, right?
Yeah.
Are we the hare or are we the turtle, right? Are you looking who we
Yeah.
are?
I always like when someone will say, well, no, I haven't done the disc profile. I'm like, okay, well, are you a quick decision maker or a slow decision maker? And I'll interrupt and say, so you're a slow decision maker. Are you task oriented or are you people oriented? Let me think, and so I help walk them through it. It's pretty easy to sort of look and see where you might be. I think the actual assessment, though, kind of digs deeper and gives you really good communication tools. Like, hey, because you're a high D, here's how you talk to someone who is a C who needs all of those details. And be aware that someone who's an I or an S needs that moment to check in with their heart and how they are feeling or how others are feeling. Those types of things are really important, I think. And it helps you not only with who you are, but who you could be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think what is really essential when we're thinking about developing others is making sure that we, first of all, again, have a conversation, understand the person in front of us, and really seek to find out where they want to go and what they want to do. We might not agree, we might see some other things, but sitting down and establishing a path forward for them, I think is really our
Yeah.
responsibility as leaders, really our
Awesome.
responsibility.
Well,
So
I was going to say, I think this has been great. You want to recap what we've talked about?
Well, I think it's important to understand that emotional intelligence and empathy is really something as leaders we must master and realize that empathy isn't soft leadership, so to speak.
Yeah.
It is smart leadership. Secondly, empowerment requires trust. It requires trust. If you don't empower people, we don't empower people by micromanaging them, right? We empower people by letting go and letting them see that we believe in them, right? That
Mhm.
is believing in them. And thirdly, we want to model the way. We want to be present. We want to listen deeply. We want to hear their heart. So that is my, if you would, summary. And I actually have written about this in my book, Sis, You Earned It. And
Ooh,
I
I love it. Say that title one more time. It's so
Yes,
good.
sis, you've earned it. And I wrote it for women, and particularly women of color who are in positions that could be like the church or other organizations where the environments weren't made for us, weren't made for us. And so I share the lessons that I've learned. This is one of them, being able to develop people. Right? Having, as we talked about in our last episode, alliances, networks that support us.
Yeah,
So
you're not a leader until you have followers and you need to
absolutely.
develop them.
Absolutely. So sis, know that you've earned the right to develop others and you've earned the right to be developed. So training is essential. Having a plan is essential. And we hope that this was helpful to you today.
If it was helpful, I hope that you will like, you'll share, you'll tag someone and let them know all about our podcast.
Take good care and we'll see you next episode.
Bye.